Yes, very good morning and Jai Hind to all of you. My name is Nikhil Kumar, Assistant Professor in IT Department in Akgec Engineering College. Today I have the lecture on the subject Big Data that have the code BCS061, and the topic that we will cover today is Introduction to Big Data Analytics with the applications of its analytics tools. So basically, it is the third year subject for IT and CSC allied branches. For today lectures, we will cover big data analytics. It is a lecture series where we are discussing the big data. The subject is the big data. And till now, we will discuss already the introductions of big data, its different aspects, the classification of big data that is known to be the structured, unstructured and semi-structured way, and what are the history we already discussed. So today we will discuss the analytics tools. So what will the fundamental of the big data analytics? That let's suppose we know very well that the data is spreading in the multiples way and in very surrounding dynamically. It extend in multiples way and in multiples files way. So what's the happen? It is very critical to analysis and to identify that what will be the next move. So big data analytics provide some circumstances and some analytics values through which we can synchronize and we can move up with some point that what will be the next, what will be the values that is related to the big data. Let's suppose we have some inputs. Let's suppose we have different type of inputs we have contains. So through these database, what will be the objective, what will be the statistics we can provide. So through the data analytics tools, we can after segment and analysis these inputs that are of the different type. Why different type? Because the big data content is basically based on the concept that the data is totally different in nature. So what's happened? Through these inputs that are of different type and dynamically update itself, we comes to the point that data itself update its value, and we comes to the point that it further gives some statistics that is very useful for the future aspect. We discuss some applications through which there is many fundamental and the basic fundamental of the that applications is generated on the basis of the data analytics. Expected values, what will what we will predict about the futures. So the learning objectives from this topic is what is the big data analytics. That will be the first point. Then what it is not. Okay. The next point is what is the big data analytics important? Why it is important? Why we are studying this one? What is the data science aspect of data science and how the data science is basically related to the concept of big data strategy, its tool, its fundamental. When the subject big data, basically the big data is the different one, analytics is the different one. Big data is the subject where we find out how the data will store at single places and multiple places of different file format. And also we discuss in the big data concept that how it will be retrieved when it will be required in our desired fashions. Analytics is the different one which identify and recognize that how the data will be synchronized, manipulate and give its desired output, and what are the requirements. We will study for this lecture big data analytics. So here we study the data science, which represent that what are the fundamental, how we can say that it is the data science, or that what is the job of the data scientist. We will discuss here. Getting familiar with the terminology used in the big data environment, and these are the some outcomes through after this learning. To understand the role of the data scientist, it is very important. So these are the agenda for this lecture. What is the big data analytics? What are the big data analytics is not classification of analytics. Why we are studying the big data analytics, the data science and the job of the data scientist. We also discuss these terminology in these lectures. So what is the big data analytics? Basically, we in the last lectures we discussed that the big data is summarized in three forms. First one is the structured formation, second one is the semi-structured, third one is the unstructured formation. And we already know that 80% of the data that is globally present or we access each of the nature of the unstructured format. So what's happened when files are of different format and we does not recognize that when we manipulate and store the data somewhere, so the schema is properly different to all the existing applications, existing database. So what's happened? So it will be too challenging for us to manipulate and to add on some data that they have the different format and a different schema that I have existing to add on some other type of data. So in the case of the big data analytics, what we, it contains some important point, that is it provides the better way, it provides the faster decisions in real time. We know that, let's suppose the data is of the static type, that means static database is present, so we can update in very feasible way, we can update, manipulate and apply all the operations in a very static way. But when the database are of the collaborations of different file format, so what's happened in that particular case, that particularly it takes a little bit time consuming when we use the static database. So we move to the dynamic database. The next one approach, move code to the data for greater speed and the efficiency. When we use some tools and applications without any external supports through the big data concept, when all the things are based on the distributed environment, so it will improve its efficiency and its time. It provides the richer, deeper insight into the customer, partner and the business orientations model. Let's suppose where we will use the big data analytics tools. Basically, it enhances the quality of the product when we take the feedback from the customer side. It also enhances the productions, it also enhances the profit for the business point of view. And there are some many other sections which we will discuss. That is the competitive advantage, technology enabled analytics through the data that is present from the, that comes from the different technology, different applications. So we manipulate each of them very efficient way for the analytics way. Time sensitive decisions, its collaborations with business users and data scientists. Basically, for today's era, what's happened? We focus on customer requirement through the total concept of the business model. We focus on customer requirements. So when the customer behavior is update or changing, we want to update to our servers so that we can build up some product and the quality values that is totally effective and relevant to the customer, so that our business model will enhance. So we use big data analytics basically in these lectures on the basis of the customer relationship management. How we add on, how we will build up the better way, the existing way. Working with the data sets whose volume and variety is beyond the storage and processing capability of a typical database software existing. Let's suppose we have the example. We have the number of different applications which are of the static nature, which give the result when we want to update. Okay, but when the data is dynamically updated, we know very well that in the time of this social media, the data is present and accessible through the internet users that are netizens by multiple times, and it update very fast, so that it's our requirement for the business point of that our database is also be updated through the for the purpose of the business models. So we move to the big data analytics tools, and we know very well that the number of companies existing in our India and the worldwide which approach to the big data analytics tools, because it gives the very accurate with efficiently and in the time based manner for the feedback way and the customer relationship model to enhance the all the qualities. What it is not provided by the big data analytics, it does not provide the only the all type of volume. It not provide the one size fit all. That means that suppose one application did not provide the all the mechanisms that is not suitable to the customer relationship and some existing tools, so we will update as per the requirements. Only used by the huge online companies like Google or Amazon, because it is the applications and some tools and basically the methodology that is supported to the bigger company and is used by the just like the Google, Amazons and different other which approach and provide some tools that relevant to the big data analytics. In the last lectures, we discussed also the big data concept and ecosystem, where we have the number of tools just like the Hive, HBase, Zookeeper and Arc, which support and provide a mechanism for the database retrieval and recovery and how the data is stored. So all these things are supported by the bigger company most probably, but it also have the scope for the middle level and the small level type of companies. Mean to replace the data warehouse, it is a very challenging job, that whatever we have the existing tools or applications in the database, we need to update it or we want to replace it. So it doesn't mean that we replace the data warehouse that is existing. We add on some extra features in the existing tools. So how it is happen? So basically in the existing database, we manipulate and we add on the Hadoop structure, that is known to be the HDFS, Hadoop database file system, and we from the big pictures we come to the point that it is providing the big data analytics tools and some better approach. Till now we have the analytics 1.0, 2.0 and 3.0 for the big data analytics purpose. So first one is the descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. They different provide the mechanism through which we identify, recognize and for further actions we will take the corrective actions. So that is the insight and the foresight, and each versions of that analytics we have and synchronize some tools and we update its existing applications as well. So what are the data science? Basically the data science is the combined and the mixing form of the business acumen, that is the mathematics expertise and technology expertise and the technology friendly and technology expert person. When we collaborate these three domains, that first one is the business acumen, second is the mathematical expert, which is very better in the that works on the mathematical tools for the statistics, for input and output, for calculate all the things just like the profit, loss, business aspects, input and output. The technology expertise which relate to the business models and relate to the any idea that is work on the any business type. So that is the technology type of. When these three different domains collaborate in a single way, so it provides the data science. So basically the data scientist is a job when we collaborate these three different domains for a specific purpose. So what are the terminology used in the big data environment? We use the terminology, that is first one is the in-memory analytics. What we have and the existing tools storage. So that is the in-memory analytics. Let's suppose we provide an input to a existing database. So what are the collaborative database? So it will provide us the requirement when we come to the point that what will be the predictive way for the futures in database processing. Let's suppose through a number of inputs, let's suppose these are the inputs values, and when we comes to the database and we want to extract some useful information from the existing applications, existing database for the future aspects. Let's suppose we have the different files database that is based on the last 5 years for a company, profit, loss, input, output, processing, and other aspect of the month wise, city wise, what will be the profit and loss. So through these one, we can conclude that these data analytics tool, we can conclude that through the raw material and database, that which time period, at which seasons the profit may rises, which time period the profit goes down, what are the market scenario, and all the things related to the market we can analysis through the big data concept analytics tools. So massively parallel processing we will do, parallel systems. Parallel system is just the concept that we have the multiple source of data inputs, different massively huge amount of data are present. So all the tools and applications and the files are processed simultaneously for the efficient result. So we have the parallel programming or parallel analytics tool. The next one is the distributed system. There is the concept that is the static database, which provide all the similar type of data or data files which have the specific schema is known to be the database, static database. But here the distributed database provide a mechanism where the data are stored in decentralized approach. The data are stored in the different nodes, and the different nodes on its private windows, and it will be retrieve or provide the informations to other one when it will be required through the message passing system. And it also contains the shared nothing architecture. What does it mean? It does not provide a mechanism that support the external tools. The next one is the CAP theorem. CAP theorem is a Brewer's CAP theorem that provide, it is the Brewer's CAP theorem, which provide the mechanism through the big data analytics tool or big data concept, where CAP stand for the consistency, C stand for the consistency, A is the availability, and P stand for the partition tolerance. So consistency in the case that, let's suppose there is a number of nodes that are connected to each other, and when we update a node, let's suppose a database on this specific node, let's suppose we update this node, okay, so relevant nodes will update its values that are connect that particular files. These nodes are the computer nodes. When we update any file on this computer node, so all its relevant connected node where the data, that type of data are globally accessible and present. So all the time when we update this one, simultaneously we retrieve and update all the node, all the existing node. So what's happened? All the time the customer and the client will update it's the updated values. So that is the consistency. Availability means, let's suppose this node want to be update itself, okay, any file want to be update, so that time all the node will be available for communicate to this node through the message passing system for input, output, and processing way. The partition tolerance means, let's suppose two nodes are sharing its information to each other. So what's happened in the case of the partition tolerance? Let's suppose this node want to share this information, any information, update its any information to this node, and let's suppose the failure is done on this node. So what's happened? The data will be updated, data will be update on to this node or not. It will be done when the database is crashed from this node. So simultaneously, particularly the replica of the file that is present on this node will also be available on other one, and the synchronization will be done through this node. So that is the partition tolerance. The reverse gap theorem suggests that in the case of the big data files, what's happened? Every time out of these three applications and property, C, consistency, availability, and partition, two property will be executable from compromising state. Maybe the existing one will be the consistency, availability, where partition tolerance will be compromised form. Maybe consistency, partition tolerance will be executable, and the availability will be in the compromised form, and it may be that the consistency will be compromised form and the availability and partition tolerance will be executed form. So that is the reverse. We have some top analytical tools, that is the MS Excel, SAS, IBM Space Modeler. So for these lectures, thank you class to attend these lectures. We will related to these topics and this subject we will take some other lectures. So thank you for attending these lectures.